In a so-called free state, officials and stakeholders concoct solutions to problems often created by other bureaucrats and with little regard for infringements on the people. These stories are born at the apex of freedom and entrepreneurship. We foolishly advocate for the taxpayer. Brian's Beat presents Freedom Fools.
And you know what? Fall River, New Bedford, Wareham, Massachusetts, nation. We have a problem. Welcome to Freedom Fools on WBSM. Yes, I am back for Saturday. This show born at the apex of freedom, entrepreneurship, and nomadism. And now coming to you 1 o'clock Eastern Time on WBSM Saturdays. We do Brian's Beat Monday through Friday. I know most of you know it, but somehow I feel I need to reinforce. On this date in 1775, the Second Continental Congress got together. They met in Philadelphia. I've been in that meeting room, by the way. Representatives from the 13 colonies, and, you know, they didn't just kind of sit around and say, hey, maybe we should, say, Thomas Jefferson, work on a Declaration of Independence. No, they did a lot more. Like what? They issued paper currency for the very first time. And I guess it's something they needed to do if they were going to get away from the British pound or whatever they called it way back in those days. They also named George Washington as the supreme commander of the military. 1908, Mother's Day, first observed in the United States. Where? West Virginia. Of all places, who would think to start Mother's Day in West Virginia? Not that they don't have fine mothers there. I'm just thinking, West Virginia, 1908. Hey, let's start Mother's Day. And proving in Washington, D.C., there's no such thing as term limits. J. Edgar Hoover appointed the director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation on this date, 1924. He stayed in that position until he died in 1972. Now, I remember thinking, he's the only person that's I thought he had that position for life. And you know what? He did. He was the first FBI director, and he died in office. Imagine that. Whew. That leads us to the Brian's Beat quote of the day. Education is the key to unlock the golden door of freedom. Education is the key to unlock the golden door of freedom. That quote from George Washington Carver. George, if you don't know the name George Washington Carver, look him up. A fantastic educator, entrepreneur, and as you can tell by the quote, kind of knows what he's talking about. George Washington Carver, no relation, not a slave of George Washington. As I said at the beginning, New Bedford, Fall River, Wareham, the Commonwealth here, the nation, I think we've got a little bit of a problem. I'm not sure if you were paying any attention to some of the news that was going on. And to be honest with you, I missed it. But I caught it last evening when I got home. I was so concentrated on. So what's going on with this Rumesa Ozturk? What's happening with one, I keep on forgetting his last name, but the guy from Tallman Street. These cases are close. And as Tip O'Neill used to say, all politics is local. So I was thinking, what's going on in the backyard? Maybe there's something I can talk about tomorrow. So I'm sitting there and I'm going through my different news feeds because I have easily a half dozen right there at my fingertips. And I'm going through the feeds and this pops up about something that went on in Newark, New Jersey. Now, quite frankly, I see Newark, New Jersey, and the first thing that's coming to my mind lately is what's going on with the air traffic controllers. But in this particular case, there was something else going on. There is an ICE detention center in Newark. And there was a crowd of people at this facility, I should say outside the facility. And there were federal agents surrounding people at this facility. And I'm thinking, what the heck is going on here? Well, there's a statement from Alina Habba. Alina Habba is the interim U.S. attorney for the state of New Jersey. And here's what she released. You could even see it on social media. The mayor of Newark, New Jersey, Raz Baraka, committed trespass and ignored multiple warnings from Homeland Security investigations to remove himself from the ICE detention center in Newark, New Jersey this afternoon. He has willingly chosen to disregard the law. That will not stand in this state. He has been taken into custody. No one is above the law. And that last part, no one is above the law, written in huge capitals. So I'm watching what's going on, and indeed, this guy was taken into custody. He is later released, and he makes a statement. Now, I know that there are many different sides to what's going on with what the Trump administration is doing and is not doing. But I've got two eyes. I have two ears. And sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes I listen and I watch before I talk. I watched several times this incident from different angles, from different channels. And I can tell you what I saw. I don't know what you saw. I don't know if you watched. But the mayor of Newark, New Jersey, and all the other people, they weren't on the grounds of the detention center. They were outside the gate of the detention center. They were not protesting. I'm not even sure there was a rally going on. There were people with signs. So it would be hard for me to say that there was no rally or the intention of a rally. But there was no let's get rowdy type of protest, at least not until the federal agents came outside the gate and approached the mayor, not just the mayor of Newark, because if it was the mayor of Newark and some of his throng, it would be one thing. But there were other folks there, members of the New Jersey, state of New Jersey delegation. and members of the New Jersey congressional delegation. In fact, they were there with Mayor Baraka. It seems that the congressional delegation had requested earlier in the week to do a tour of the facility as part of their oversight. And I'll be honest, I have not double-checked to see if any of these people are on any type of oversight committee. I do know that members of the House of Representatives do have the right to make a request and to do oversight of federal facilities. And I have no reason to believe that they did not ask since they were all there. Mayor Baraka was there along with state representatives, congressional people, on this oversight visit. That was their intention. In fact, the mayor was at this facility earlier in the week and got inside and did a tour. It also seems that this detention center had been closed and then recently reopened. And Mayor Baraka claimed, at least once, that this facility was not operating legally, as in inspections, health inspections, building inspections, etc. So this is what I got out of all of this. Mayor Baraka was targeted. I don't see any of the Congress people. I don't see any of the state representatives or any of the other people getting arrested. That is not to say that, well, I know the congressional delegation did not get arrested. I know that the state reps did not get arrested. I'm not sure about any of the others in the crowd. But I do know that they seem to, they being the officers, the federal officers, they seem to encircle the mayor. And when they got his hands on him, they hauled him off. They just hauled him, they put him, opened up the gate, got inside and closed the gate. I have been asking this question for several days now. Some people are responding, others are not. Mayor Baraka, just to let you know, is a United States citizen. He is the mayor of but the largest city in the state of New Jersey. And I don't know about you, but I have made several jokes in my life about Newark, New Jersey, and I probably will continue to do so. But in this particular case, he seems to have been in the right. And we have federal officers, trying to stop another visit. And then you have some folks in the media and the U.S. attorney calling this a protest. And so I said at the beginning of the show, we've got a problem. We definitely have a problem here in the United States. And quite frankly, I'm worried about how we're going to try to resolve that problem. 508-996-0500. As I always like to say, we need to do it constitutionally. We need to do it constitutionally. So I guess it begs the question, do you believe that this administration, as in the Trump administration, is acting constitutionally? Do you believe that I'm just for the sake of the name, the so-called protesters, those that were out rallying, those that were there for an oversight visit, Do you think they're acting within the bounds of the law and the U.S. Constitution? 508-996-0500. Thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How's everybody? I hope everybody's doing okay. Constitutional. Very interesting. I need to just make a statement for everyone and just forget about ethnicity. I want everyone to understand that the American people have to understand this is a battle for us, period. This is a battle for democracy, for those who is not capable of getting, I would say, representation in the courts. See that?
How do you mean that?
How do I mean that? I mean that the courts is for everyone.
Yeah.
So my point, what I'm trying to emphasize is that if they come for me, they're going to come for you all later, whether you white, black, or whatever. See, Hitler did the same thing. And the lady was saying on MSNBC, was saying that's the same scheme. These people believe in what they're doing. They're doing it in steps. Now, in Newark, New Jersey...
So I'm going to slow you down, because when I hear these people, I'm listening MSNBC. I don't know if you're talking about the mayor and company or if you're talking about the Trump administration.
I'm talking about the whole package there, because what I'm going to make it much more clear. What happened in New Jersey now, what the information that I got when I was watching the news, that the mayor went inside of the area that was supposed to be part of the government. In other words, find out what's going on. They was getting ready to remove someone to another area. That was my understanding. And they asked the mayor to leave, the mayor of Newark, New Jersey. And he gave some little talk and confrontation. And he just turned around and walked outside the fence off the property and went outside where they were protesting. And he started protesting, and the way I understood it, stood it on the report from the reporter from MSNBC that what you call those people, IC, whatever you call them, they went out and got him anyway after he got out off the property, and they arrested him. And that's
so that's what I saw. They went from inside their facility, the gated area, and they came out and they grabbed the mayor.
Exactly.
What's that about?
Well, they were saying that he ain't supposed to be on the property.
But he wasn't on the property. He was off the property.
Well, maybe they wanted to teach him a lesson and let him know that they was in charge. So the Congress lady from New Jersey showed up and said that she said that I'm wondering where they would have done it to us, and we have the right to go in because we are Congress people. We are over them. And those some of the statements she was making. So her point was that she wanted the American people in general in the country know that if this could happen to a mayor or it could happen to me, don't think because, now she didn't say this, but she insinuated that it could happen to anyone. Just because you white or black privilege or white privilege, it could come for you too. And that's the point she was trying to make to everyone.
Yeah, I got that. In fact, I've got something from her coming up in just a bit.
And I'm glad you are. And let me say this here, because I know you got callers waiting. The average American people don't even know the Constitution. And that's what's so sad about it. He got a guy in North Carolina was saying that he wants to put in the history books, starting some of the new books coming out, and that Trump were cheated out of the election back in 2016. And the reporter were asking him, so why would you do that when the facts already been out that all of the judges said that he was not cheated? He said, let the American people figure it out for themselves as students.
All right. Hey, thank you. I really appreciate the call. 508-996-0500. I think if Trump were cheated out, that would have been 2020, but I might be off on that myself. 508-996-0500. Coming for you? Coming for me? I hope not. Welcome back to Freedom Fools on WBSM. I hope we're not going down the road of the Soviet Union, or as the caller brought up earlier about Hitler, and I'm sitting here and I'm praying. I'm not a praying type person, but I want to believe that this nation is not traveling down this horrible road. This picture that has been painted in my head, it does not look pretty. If you saw the scene, and scenes, plural, scene number one, what happened yesterday in Newark, New Jersey. There's no I saw it with my own eyes. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it that the federal agents came from inside the yard where the detention center is, and they came out and they surrounded, and then they took the mayor. They had other people that they could have taken, but they took the mayor, brought him back inside, gates closed, and I guess he got processed. He did eventually get released, but it's happened. U.S. citizen in an ICE detention center for trespassing, wasn't on their property. Let's hear from you, 508-996-0500. Thank you. Hello. Wow, what's that noise?
How you doing? Good afternoon.
Hi, it's hard to hear you, though.
Hold on a second. How's that?
Oh, much better. Much better. Thank you.
That. Yeah, I just, I'm hoping that you could educate me on something regarding the Constitution.
I'll try.
Is there anything at all in our Constitution about having people from everywhere else come in as illegals? Like
other than that, it would be a trespass civil violation, not that I know of.
Okay, so since you brought that up, I didn't know if there was actually anything that said that we should protect our borders and not allowing, magnitudes of people coming into our country.
Not in such language, but the President of the United States does have that authority as Commander-in-Chief to protect I'm going to say it like this, to protect the homeland. Congress has a right to make laws in order to fortify any kind of protection.
Okay. And then the only other thing is, I don't think, anyway, in my opinion, that we should compare ourselves to what happened in Germany. I think we're over, my personal opinion, really overreacting to what's going on. I mean, our country's been in turmoil for a few years now with all these riots going over and, people from other countries, tearing down statues and all kind of stuff. So, it actually, when I watch TV, it actually seems like I'm looking at somebody else from a different country, and it's happening here now. So, but I just...
Well, explain that. When you're watching TV, you're watching this stuff happen, and it seems like it's something that would happen in another country.
Yeah, it's in another country. It's just sad, we've seen it in, China, that square. You've seen it in France. You've seen it in, different countries outside the United States. And, now it's happening in here with these riots in school. And, it's been a few years back now that our country's been in turmoil, Black Lives Matter and all this other stuff that's been happening, and, police stations being closed down and burnt and courthouses, and it's sad. I just feel sad about it,
and rightfully so. No, I think you have a right to feel sad about it. I don't know exactly where to put my finger on why we would have to be going in this particular direction. But as I say, we've got a right to peaceably assemble and to ask for a redress of grievances. That doesn't mean burn down places or vandalize Teslas or anything like that.
Yeah, it's a shame. I mean, I think we've just, we're on a tilt right now. And, the greatest, our country's 200 and something years old. We're probably one of the youngest countries, correct? And we're a country that everybody wants to come in because of our values, our beliefs, and, our hard work and being able to accomplish things and being entrepreneurs. And I just feel that people want to come in and change what, our forefathers and, my grandparents came and yours and stuff. We're not a perfect country. There's stuff that should have never happened. But I just think it's just going totally tilted to one side, that we're just allowing it. And, it's like kids, you'll keep allowing them to do stuff, and the more they try to get away with it. And,
so, I'm listening to you. Who is allowing? And I guess I'm trying to take your macro and bring it down to micro. And, because I'm trying to figure out, I know Congress hasn't made laws. I know the previous president kind of said, "Olé, come on in." Now you got another president who's trying to, tilt the scale in an opposite direction. But it comes, I don't know that anybody that is immigrating into this country is trying to change our laws or our way of life.
Well, I mean, you might say that, and you might be correct on it. But when I turn on the TV and I'm watching these hate groups that, I understand they're for Pakistan, and I don't know the whole history of it, but 1,200 people were murdered. We still have people in hostage, and what do you do if that was in our backyard and we had a country that came in and did that to us? Do you think we would hold bar? We would, do the same thing as Israel.
Look what happened 9/11.
I'm right.
We went after the folks there. Now, you said, look what happened to Israel. What do you mean?
Yeah.
You're talking about October 7th?
Yes.
But I think I know, I'm going to say it like that. I know that what's going on in Gaza right now, which people are going to say, well, look what happened October 7th. October 7th didn't happen in a vacuum. October 7th happened because of things that happened October 6th and before. You just don't hear about it. And I'm not trying to say either side is right. I'm just saying, you've got more than tit for tat going on. And right now you've got one country, and you've got the Gaza Strip, but you've got one country that is now under the watchful eye of the United Nations, and they've already been stated as committing genocide. I mean, like I say before, two wrongs don't make a right.
And no, you're right, and I understand that. And I saw something the other day that I was never aware of, what happened in Somalia in the 90s. I mean, that was genocide. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
And I saw clips of that, of all those people that passed on the streets. They were killed and then pushed into mass graveyards. I'm like, oh, my God, how come nobody ever helped them out?
Well, that's going on now, too,
I mean, that made me sick to my stomach.
I bet it did, and it should have.
How can we be? It's like we can't control the whole world, but I mean that was absolutely.
So I'm going to ask this question.
Terrible.
I've heard it. You've heard me ask this question before. What do you suggest that we do about it? Do you think that we send a contingent over to, in this particular case, over to Somalia to try to stop it?
I mean, there's people that I work with that are from Haiti, and there's people that I work with, they're from Puerto Rico, and there are people from Portuguese all over the world. And, a lot of times, I have a person that's from Haiti, and he keeps picking on it. He's like, Joe, Haiti helped U.S., but you guys owe us a lot of money in whatever reason, and then playing around. So we play back and forth. And I'm like, I don't know at what point that we're going to be able to send the kids, men here from America and daughters to keep sending people all over the world to help them out. To what extent we send money to places, the politicians steal the money, they don't help their own, they don't take it. It's like, how far do we have to go?
I don't know. Great question.
All over the world.
Great
all
question.
over the world. You know what I mean? We help them out financially. Okay.
And
so
we let people into the country.
Right. And, let's go to Haiti. Say, okay, here we're going to go, Haiti. We're going to clear out these gangsters, okay? Now, you guys got to vote for somebody that's going to be president, but we're going to manage it. We can't just give you millions and millions of dollars and you guys, the politicians, rob you. We have to stay here and make sure we oversee this.
So
if we
don't you hear the problem in what you are stating right there?
I know that.
I'm not sure that you do. So I'm going to try to explain it from my side of the street. You're hearing one side of the story, and I'm going to say it like this: how often do you read a Haitian newspaper that's been translated into English?
Never.
Okay. So if you read a Haitian newspaper translated into English, whether that paper emanates out of New York or Miami, you will find that every time that the Haitians try to do something on their own, they get rebuffed. The latest thing that's going on is the United States used your tax dollars and my tax dollars to pay folks in Kenya to come over and patrol. So basically, you got black people patrolling black people, trying to keep them in line. There's another instance where our military weaponry has been given to folks to go in to Haiti and shoot up the country. So these are the things that you don't regularly, or maybe in your case, never hear about. And so it makes it seem like the Haitians don't know what the hell they're doing. The reason why they're trying to get out of there is there's so much turmoil, they don't know which way to turn.
Right. But they also said, that there was also a king and the president and the son that took all the money and didn't do anything for their own country as well.
That may be true. I won't argue that, but how many times have we seen dictatorships, prime ministers, presidents, whatever the case may be, rob the family jewels?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I understand that. That's what I mean.
But the bottom line is Haiti never gets the opportunity to try to fend for itself, whether it's the French, whether it's the United States, or the United States uses our tax dollars to bring in the military from Kenya or maybe from other Caribbean nations. So you wonder why there's so many Haitians trying to get to the United States. Well, the United States kind of opened up the door by causing the problem. Nobody wants to look at it from that end. I'm going to say the same thing about Venezuela. I'm going to say the same thing about some of the other Central American countries. If we did not poke our nose into their affairs, they wouldn't need to scramble to get out of that country. And then they find their way to the United States. I don't know how they're finding out that they can get all kinds of benefits courtesy of the federal government and then the several states, but they're finding out that information. What does that say about our Congress opening up that kind of door for people to come in here?
Yeah, it's wrong. It's just, I don't know.
Okay. One last one. I'm going to leave you with this one. What do you think? Let me start with this. Do you agree that we have too many people coming into this country and the president should do the correct thing when he goes to eliminate folks?
Yes.
Okay. Hold on.
Yep.
Okay. So if you are eliminating folks, you probably shouldn't let other folks for no valid reason come in, correct? Come in to live. Okay. Do you realize that white South African refugees are getting the green light to come into the United States?
Okay. No, it doesn't make sense.
If you're somebody from Haiti, If you're somebody from Cuba, if you're somebody from the Dominican Republic, some of these other countries, you're being told you got to leave even though you've got proper paperwork, and then folks from another country are getting the green light to come in. What are you thinking?
Well, I totally don't agree with that. If you're already here and you got the right papers and you didn't commit any offense at all, then there really should be no reason for them to leave or send you away.
Gotcha.
I agree that if you're here in this country and you committing crimes and you're doing stuff to people, then you should go back to where you came from.
Absolutely. Gotcha, man.
But I think it's going to be more than that. We really have to go and, go to the federal government and immigration. They have to look at it and say, listen, there's people waiting for 5 years, 10 years. We got to speed up this process, whatever the reason is, so that way people don't have to scramble in here. You know what I'm trying to get at?
Yeah, I think that's part of it. I also believe we have to stop interfering in other governments' affairs so we don't have as many people trying to get in to the United States. 508-996-0500. Yeah, CBS reported this. The Trump administration is planning to soon receive the first group of white South African refugees it says deserves a safe haven in the U.S. because of alleged racial discrimination in post-apartheid South Africa. Government documents obtained by CBS News show. I am telling you, Houston, we got us a big problem here.
They're talking about coming back to arrest you.
Going where? I'm not on their property. They can't come out in the street and arrest me.
I agree with
If you come out, we're all getting arrested.
Let them try. Get us off. No, I'm not going nowhere.
What are you?
Stay back! Stay back! Stay back! Everyone stay back!
You are out of control! Shame on you!
I guess we can debate whether the folks that are, as we say, crossing the southern border are looking for asylum, or if they're looking for a handout, or if they're looking to make a new life for themselves. I think that we can honestly sit down and have that debate. I think we would find that there are folks in each part of the spectrum trying to escape persecution, looking for better economic opportunities, and of course, handouts. But I got to tell you, this whole thing dealing with South Africa, you're telling one group of people they've got to leave. You're basically saying to folks that are here with visas that really haven't done anything. Maybe they went outside for a protest, or as in the case of Rumesa Ozturk, she was part of 3 or 4 people that wrote an op-ed to the college newspaper. Or if you're somebody like Juan on Tallman Street, you're just the wrong person. But you kind of looked like the other guy, so you must be him. If you've ever been stopped by police before and you were one of them, one of the people that look like them, you would know what I'm talking about. But if you haven't, you're just saying, well, that might happen to them, but that'll never, ever happen to me. According to CBS, in February, President Trump issued an executive order directing officials to use the U.S. refugee program to resettle Afrikaners, an ethnic group in South Africa made up of descendants of European colonists, mostly from the Netherlands. The president claimed that Afrikaners faced, and here's the quote, government-sponsored race-based discrimination, citing a law that U.S. conservatives like South African-born Elon Musk have said allow racially motivated seizures of land owned by white South Africans. The South African government has strongly denied any land confiscations or racially motivated discrimination. I've heard the South African president speak on this very issue. And again, words can be cheap. But in his statements, he does not say anything about confiscating land from white South Africans. Just telling you. The hastily arranged initiative, this is CBS talking now, the hastily arranged initiative to welcome Afrikaners stands in stark contrast to the Trump administration's move to ban most other refugees from entering the U.S. One of Mr. Trump's first actions after returning to the White House was suspending the American Refugee Admissions Program, stranding thousands of approved refugees. So I could read the whole thing to you, but I got to tell you, this order reeks. It really does. And it makes you wonder, what are we really trying to do here? Now, these South Africans, they will be here soon. And whereas most of us do not want our tax dollars giving welfare benefits, housing benefits, cash benefits, health benefits to folks who come here illegally, or even some that come here legally under this refugee program, guess what? I'm going to read it right here, courtesy of CBS. The government documents show resettlement officials were told they can use funds administered by Health and Human Services Office of Refugee Resettlement to help Afrikaners secure housing, household items, and basic necessities during their first 90 days in America, including groceries, weather-appropriate clothing, diapers, formula, hygiene products, and prepaid phones. How do you like that? Is that okay? That must be okay. I'm livid about it. I don't want that for the folks that were coming in here illegally. I don't want that for folks that came here legally seeking asylum or as refugees. I don't know about, the whole thing about getting a sponsor, but I do believe in letting folks fend for themselves. I also don't believe, and I'm thousands of miles away making this judgment call, but I do not believe that these Afrikaners are struggling. I don't know how many of them are landowners that are worried about having their land confiscated from them. In fact, I would really hope that whomever is doing the processing checks, double checks, triple checks to make sure that any of these Afrikaners coming into the United States had their land confiscated from them. Not that they turned around and sold it and pocketed whatever rand or amount of money that they were able to pocket, and then they come in and they get all these other benefits. That would reek of racism. And I don't want to go down that particular road with the president, although numerous times he has shown the signs of that's the way he's going. And members of his cabinet, same thing. I'd like secure housing, household items. A woman friend had to buy toilet paper, paper towels, Kleenex the other day. Must have run her $50+ for those kind of items. I don't know how many Afrikaners are coming over. Excuse me. About 12,000. 12,000 times.